Hey everybody, how's it going? This is a quick little deck tech. I don't really have time to play at the moment, but this deck has been really good. It's just slightly different from the previous version I had made for Best of One. Kind of just a quick rundown. So I keep seeing a lot of videos and talk about how Control isn't that great right now in Historic, and I don't believe so. I think you just have to make a couple of modifications to deal with the metagame. For one in particular, I don't see any control list playing this card, and I really think that's part of the reason. Even against decks that don't have a ton of creatures, this card does a lot of subtle little things that are extremely powerful in the long run. First of all, just gaining a little bit of life every time a creature comes down. There'll be things like when someone tries to hold up a flash creature to block, then they come into play tapped and they can't block. There's things like, they'll play a Croxa and it'll come in tapped, and then I'll seal it away, and then no more Croxa. There's a lot of different things that Authority is just really good. And I have tried to play Control without this card because, I want to play more counterspells or more lands. And every time I play it without it, I'm just like, man, I really need Authority. So I really think this card is extremely undervalued. And I think it's really, just in a lot of matchups right now, it's just really good. Obviously, there's some matchups in Best of 3 you're just going to take it out completely, but I don't know. I find it very powerful in Best of 1, which is mainly what I play. And I think in Best of 1, it's like absolutely necessary for the amount of creature decks that just diarrhea on the battlefield. This card, another card that no one seems to be playing, and I don't understand why. The reason, so what, they get to draw a card, like, who cares? You have, most matchups you have a huge card advantage. If they get to draw a card, whatever. The fact that you can kill not only creatures and planeswalkers and creatures of any power or any mana, that's amazing. In Best of 1 especially, like, anytime they drop down a planeswalker, a Chandra, a Nico Bolas, a whatever, you can, even in the Control matchup, they play Teferi, you're like, sure, play it. I'm going to kill it immediately before you untap your lands back, so I don't have to use a counterspell. Obviously it helps you in creature matchups. Early game, it's only 2 mana. Instant speed, protect your Teferi, instant speed, whatever. Not to mention, you combine that with Authority, you can really protect Teferi. And another thing I hear about Authority is like, it's good against haste decks. Sure, of course it is. That's what it's best against. But it's also good against just decks in general that have big creatures, because as you spend more mana, a lot of creatures have haste. So haste becomes like a common thing in a lot of creature decks once the creatures get bigger. Rest in Peace. So obviously you can't play Search for a Scanna if you're playing Rest in Peace. It just doesn't go well together. And then obviously it doesn't go well with Deluge. But here's the thing. So many matchups, Rest in Peace literally just wins the game. I just played against Unburial Rites and Phoenix. On Burial Rites, I didn't get to play it. I didn't need to. I just, I don't even remember what I did. I think I just countered them enough, and then I played Narset, and they couldn't draw cards to get back a hand, and I had enough counterspells. I just played Phoenix, though. Authority is amazing against Phoenix, because your Phoenixes come in tapped, and it just gives you that subtle life gain throughout the game. But I board wiped them, and then I played Rest in Peace in the same turn with a Teferi out, and it was their whole discard pile just, disappeared into the exile, and I said good game. And that's one of the greatest feelings in Magic, when you can just literally destroy a deck with one card. And it's not just decks like that. You got Jund Sacrifice, you have Unburial Rites, obviously, you have Silvers, that card that brings all their silver creatures back from the graveyard. There's the Seasoned Pyromancer. There's so many cards, I can't even think of all of them. Klothys, even against Klothys, this card's amazing, because then Klothys gets no value. There's just so many things. So to me, it's like, you know, some games, whatever, I won't get to use Deluge twice. No big deal. I don't need to use Deluge twice. To me, Deluge is just another version of Narset and another version of Search for Azcanta at instant speed. Obviously, I'm not going to play Rest in Peace unless I absolutely need it. But, like I said, in Best of 1, so many matchups. You just win the game just by playing that card. And in Best of 3, I think I would still play it. I don't think I would take it out. I'd probably take out one of these in Best of 3, just to maybe add in another land or another draw spell, but I would still play another one in the sideboard. Omen of the Sea is very important in Best of 1 because of the ability to scry twice for 2. Once to draw you the card, and once again later when you need to. It's really important to find your board wipes and other things that you need for specific matchups. Test of Talents is such an underrated card. Again, this is kind of like in the same boat as Authority and Fateful Absence. I do not understand why control players are not playing it. You can sit here and tell me that it's situational, but it's not, because so many games, just to be able to look at their hand and see what they're trying to do. Then there's, in the control matchup, they try to draw 3 cards with Archmage's Charm, and I test the talent with it. No more Archmage's Charm. Collected Company, see ya. Fateful Looting, your deck can't do what it's supposed to do. Unburial Rights. What's that other big one? The green-black one, I can't think of it off the top of my head, where they get to make you pick 1 to put back in the deck and 2 they get to keep. I mean, so many decks this card is nuts against. I can't describe how important it is to not only see their hand, but to see their deck. That's just, for 2 mana, that's so good. And in Best of 1, you don't know what they're playing half the time. But even in Best of 3, that card needs to be played. I'm really not sure as the reason as to why it's not being played. I think it just hasn't been played enough by good players for some reason, so people don't copycat it, but it needs to be played. The ability to see their hand is so valuable, and their deck. Like, that's huge. Narset, I know I hear a lot about, oh, Narset's not as good anymore because there's so many burn spells and Holy Heat and all this stuff. Yeah, but you're still making them play a card, and you still get at least 1 turn of value out of it. And if they don't have a way to deal with it, then they can't draw more cards. And you're still able to search in your deck for it. So I disagree. I honestly would put a 3rd one over here if I could think of something to take out. Maybe a Brazen Borrower. Archmage's Charm is just a very good card for obvious reasons. In Best of 1, Absorb is more important. In Best of 3, I might take this down maybe 1 and put in possibly like 2 Censors, maybe Absorb and Authority for 2 Censors, or maybe take out a Wrath and put in a 3rd Censor, something like that, some variation of that, just because Censor is another way to draw cards, and just a 2-mana counterspell. I would not take out this. You know, the split of Day of Judgment, Wrath, and then I do the 3 Doomskar because I think Doomskar is only effective as long as you have 3 of them, so that you can have more likely to put it down on turn 2. It's a very good card if you're able to put it down on turn 2, and then also it's a very good card later in the game just to tuck it away and then blow up their board for 3 and then still have lots of mana left over if you have a Teferi out, or even if you have like 6 mana out to hold up a counterspell. Memory Deluge is a really, really good card. I think it's a staple in control decks now. What did I do recently? It was a cool play. I played a Croxa and then I deluged so that I could get 2 cards and choose which one I was going to have them discard, and then also get another card, so I got a Seal Away. So that was really cool. But in general, that card's just nuts, and if you can play it for its flashback cost, there's a high likelihood you're going to win the game anyways. 3 Teferi is all you need, especially because of the 2 Deluge and the 2 Narset. You have a lot of ways to search for Teferi. I placed 3 Shark Typhoon and 1 Trawler, again because it's Best of 1. Honestly though, Trawler has won me so many games, it's really hard to take that card out. It's almost like I have a loyalty to that card now. It's such a pain for the opponents to deal with unless they play board wipes of some sort or some way of like spreading damage without targeting Trawler. It's such a good card, and it obviously gains you life, but really the hexproof part is just amazing. I mean, I can't imagine playing control without that card either. And then my lands, I think I have 25 lands in this list. That is like one thing I wanted up a little bit, is like one more land, but honestly, right now the record of this deck is 20-4, I think. So I don't really need to, but again, that would be something I would consider for best of 3. This is kind of the sideboard I came up with for best of 3. Cage, just another way to deal with, searching your deck, searching cards from your deck. Collect a company, second rest in peace for all the graveyard hate. 3 Veto, and then added a third Test of Talents just because, like I said, it's just been so good in playtesting. I have another version of this deck that went like 40-10, but that was without Fateful Absence. It was with Portable Hole and Baffling End, I think. And Test of Talents just continues to prove to be very, very good. I like 2 Brazen Borrower on the side, just as another way to like deal with, being a little more aggressive. I think I've said before, I'm more of an aggressive control player, but 3 Portable Hole, because Portable Hole is just very, very good. And then 2 Aether Gust, because Aether Gust is just a very good card, and then 2 Mystical Dispute. But that, I would say best of 3, I would need to playtest some more, but honestly, in best of 1, if you count both versions of the deck, it's what, 60-14? That's pretty awesome. So that's the list. Just let me know if you like it. Peace.